Okay, so today we are talking about Zou, or as I like to call it, the furry arc. This arc is, I think, what is it, 25 chapters long. So I don't look up any information. I don't use Google for One Piece for fear of spoilers. So my patrons help me out in basically every aspect in that way. So when they told me, okay, you're done, go film your review before you start the next arc, it was genuinely jarring because I've become so accustomed to extremely long arcs lately that this extremely concise arc, I felt like when they told me I was done, I felt like we were only just getting started. Like this was the revving up part. So now here comes the arc. But Zou was a really, really impressive arc in how much it was able to do in so few chapters. And it was such a refreshing change. I really enjoyed Dressrosa a lot, but it was long. And even though I had a great time from beginning to end through Dressrosa, when it was over, I also felt a sense of, oh man, I'm so excited for something new. And Zou, I hope I'm saying that right, is so refreshing because it's concise, but it's also jam-packed, full of lore and of massive amounts of world building, while still being its own self-contained story that's incredibly satisfying. It was very, I feel like it was kind of Oda showing off a little. Like he knew we needed a break, and so he said, here's a little break. Let's have a fun-loving, fuzzy feeling, just like it just feels nice to read, with also I'm going to hurt you a lot in this arc. Just a little bit though. I just said a lot and a little bit. I'm gonna keep it. Little scenes of immense pain, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it was such a great change of pace, while still being a really satisfying, self-contained story in very few chapters. I don't know, it was really impressive. I think it was very well done. Zou was an incredibly beautiful setting with so much lore for the setting itself, for the Minks themselves, as well as a tremendous amount of lore for all of One Piece that was expanded on in these few chapters. It was a really smooth transition from the last arc, where a lot of things tied in very significantly from where we came from, as well as massive amounts of setup for where we're going in the next arc, and I assume the arc after that as well. Massive, massive setup for so many reveals. It feels a lot like some of the other arcs like Skypia or like Fishman Island, where I come out of it thinking, okay, that was a self-contained story, but oh my goodness, we're gonna have payoffs from this for so like hundreds and hundreds of chapters to come. And I feel the same way about Zou, but with a whole lot less chapters, as well as promises for the end. Promises for we're on track for where we started. It's crazy because this story has gotten so out of control at this point, where it's Luffy wants to be Pirate King, but also he's taken on a whole bunch of crew members, and also he cares about their dreams as much as he cares about his own. And also there's a lot of side characters that we're going to meet along the way that Luffy cares about their dreams just as much too, so he'll put his stuff on the hold to defend their dreams. Also, we have a lot of wider governmental and world order issues that Luffy doesn't appreciate much and might break down along the way. There's so many things, there's so many alsos that are happening in this story. We also got introduced to so many wonderful characters. Again, the setting was a delight to be in. The storytelling style was very unique to Oda, in my opinion. We got things like impact on how big of a deal it is for the emperor to enrage or to incur the wrath of an emperor of the sea, which is a big deal because we currently have 2 emperors of the sea that are mad at us, 3 emperors of the sea that are mad at us, and we get a display of how terrible that is. And like I said, it was just such a refreshing change of pace. I think that Zou did something really unique that I haven't seen in a long time. We've had so much action lately, and we've had so much, I don't know, big, dramatic, intense moments that to take a step back and to be a lot more focused on environment and on characters and still have such impactful moments, but not impactful moments where Luffy comes in to punch the guy. Instead, it was almost like the bad guy and Luffy kind of missed each other and other things were more important, which was such a refreshing change of speed. There were so many things where it was like Oda knew we needed a break and he said, let me give you something really different that just slows down and expands the world and that I can build off of for a real long time. Sorry, I haven't even actually gotten into the details of it. It's just this arc is a bit overwhelming to try to discuss because it does so much in so few chapters. It's such a massive lore dump while also being its own self-contained story. It's just a lot to wrap my head around, and I know I probably missed a bunch in it. It's one of those arcs where I read it and I really appreciate it, but I know that after I'm caught up and I reread and reread and reread and reread, I know that I'm just gonna appreciate it more and more each time. So one of the things that I love that always occurs in my favorite arcs is well, not always, I guess, is a lot of focus on a lot of really amazing character moments. This arc is filled with great humor, and there are so many amazing, just small character moments for our Straw Hats. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on plot and reveals and so many things. I'm gonna focus on all that in the beginning of the video, and then at the end of the video, we'll just take some time to highlight some great character moments, because that's my bread and butter. Truthfully, I'm a little bit overwhelmed with how many world setup things that happened in the first few chapters of this arc, like meeting Whitebeard's son, possibly, maybe, and him being a warlord. Stuff like Dragon seems to be more concerned with Robin than he is with Luffy, but I don't believe you for a second. Teasers about Buggy. I'm ready, Oda, for you to put him in the story more, please do. So many things that it honestly just feels a little bit overwhelming to me. So I missed our crew. And at this point, I've accepted that probably post time skip, the crew just isn't going to be fully together very much at all. Or at least that's how it's been up to this point, and I don't see that changing anytime soon based off of the setup that happened in this arc. So I'm just gonna have to accept that. It's not my favorite. I really like it when my whole crew is together, but I don't hate them apart either, so it's okay. But anyway, I really, really missed my crew members that went on to Zou without us when we were on Dressrosa. And in the moment, I really wanted to follow them too. I didn't want to just lose them for, I don't know, 50 chapters, however long it was. Is 50? That's dramatic. 30 chapters, we lost them for a long time. And then once we got to Zou, it was such a cool place, and there was so much. This is what I mean by Oda kind of changed up his storytelling style. He's good at withholding information and not just info dumping on us, but he took it to a new level on Zou. There was so much extended time when we first arrived on the island where we're just left with no information, just, oh, Sanji's gone. So should we do something else now? We don't want to talk about that, do we? But anyway, I missed them so much. So finally being able to be reunited with them was wonderful. Zou, as I've already mentioned, is such a beautiful island, and seeing it destroyed, seeing Robin immediately be able to look at the architecture and kind of suss out that something terrible has happened here recently to cause this terrible setting, this beautiful setting to look so terrorized, and the vacancy of it, and it caused this very ominous feel. And then, oh man, there were so many things in this arc where I was surprised, where I thought we were going in one direction and we went in another. And I'm so pleased by it. But the Minks are human haters, and we better watch out for them. And they will hate us if we come onto their island. Actually, we're their heroes because our Straw Hats saved them. Well, the Straw Hats that we were missing saved them. Also, the Minks hate samurais. Don't mention them. Watch out. Don't let them know that we're teamed up with some samurais. actually. It's just, there's so many, well, actually moments that were just very nice. But before we get into all that, let's talk about Sanji for a minute. So Sanji isn't in this arc on Zou. He has already been abducted at the point that we get there. And it's so funny because Sanji in the post-time skip section has slowly been just floating down lower and lower on my list for characters. He's really not had a good right? Is that how you say it? He hasn't had some great... Oda's not helping me with him at all. Sanji is a character that used to be in my top 3, despite certain things about him. But those certain things are like all we see from him anymore, with just little good moments. And it's just getting harder and harder to love his character, despite his flaws. And Zou did him some favors, and I'm so happy about that. I really, really needed this for this character. So anyway, we learn in the flashback, oh my gosh, there's so much information. Forgive me if I can't, this arc is so full of information. Ugh. Okay, so we learned in the flashback that when our crew arrived on Zou, well, before our crew arrived, I believe, yes, there was this giant battle that took place. So basically Tom, pretty sure that was his name, a member of Kaido's crew, one of the 4 emperors, shows up to get to a samurai. Our samurai. Ninja samurai. The one that our samurais are looking for. They claim he's not here. Kaido's crew doesn't want to hear it. They have this massive battle that destroys Zou as a location, and they end up winning. They overpower our Minks and crucify them, torture them, cut off limbs, trying to torture the information out of them of where this samurai, where this ninja is. And we're left with them being tortured while screaming out, "You've got the wrong place. He's not here. Our answer can't change. We can't tell you where he is because we don't know." But Tom, pretty sure is his name, refuses to take that as an answer and continues to torture them. I assume he's going to end up killing them before he'll give up on trying to force this information out of them. It's a truly tragic scene. This light, fluffy, feel-good arc took such a dark turn so fast. And the implication was there that something dark happened, but man, this hit hard. But of course, because of everything that happened on Dressrosa, Doofy fell, and Kaido's crew left to go and get him. They were intercepted by Marines along the way, but that was uneventful. Enter our Straw Hats. Our Straw Hats were able to save them, were able to attend to their wounds and be the ones that came in to kind of help clean up the mess and make sure that they were protected. This then means that when the rest of our crew ends up coming onto Zou and not ringing the visitor's bell or the welcome bell or something, and the Minks would think that they need to defend themselves, instead they realize, you're part of the crew of people who saved us previously. We welcome you, we love you. What can we do to help you? It ended up being a turn in so many ways, and this arc in so many ways, and this self-contained short little plot that we got, in so many ways, it kept me on my toes and kept me guessing and kept surprising me in the different directions it was going, and it was such a delight at that. I'm gonna just keep talking in flashbacks at this point because I'm on a roll. So after all that, after our crew became the advocates of the members of Zou, of the Minks, Big Mom shows up. Great. And 2 of her fellers come in and try to abduct Sanji and Caesar. Oh, I did forget to mention that the reason that Kaidos' crew ended up overpowering the Minks was because of Caesar's gas. Anyway, they want Sanji and Caesar. I knew that Sanji was kidnapped, right? I learned that very early on, and I've been waiting for the answer as to why for a while. Not as long as reveals tend to take with Oda, but still for a while. And I had plenty of theories in my head, but one of them was not that he was a member of some, not really royal, I don't think that's the right term, of like a mafia family. He's a member of a very important family, and his marriage to Big Mom's daughter has been arranged. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. And can I tell you, I'm very pleased at it. I don't know if this is a trope in manga, but it's a trope in books. This whole arranged marriage, pushing against your fate, trying to fight against your family that's trying to arrange your future for you. It's a trope in books, in novels, and it's one that's a bit tired and people tend to not really need so much of these days. I love it. It's like my guilty pleasure. I love this royalty arranging marriage, fighting your fate. I love this trope if done well, and I trust it in the hands of Oda. And Sanji looks great in this arc, between defending the Minks, being a part of their rescue party, and then this entire sequence where he's being abducted. And oh man, there were so many great scenes. Sanji saying, "I won't go with you. I'm loyal to my crew. My hands are only for providing for the needs of my crew." Declaring that Luffy will be the pirate king, apologizing to Nami, telling her, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to keep anything from you." There were so many great moments for Sanji throughout this arc that I desperately needed as someone who is trying to continue to be a Sanji fan, and Oda has made it very hard on me lately. I needed this. This panel of him saying, "I'll be back, so tell them that." His decision to go and handle the situation because he doesn't want anyone else to be in danger, but his determination of his loyalty to his crew and just telling them, "Don't worry about me. I'm gonna handle this and I will be back." Oh man, it's so great. Plus, there have been hints for a while now that there's something Sanji isn't telling us about his past and his origins and where he comes from. Oda was nice enough to write one of the biggest clues that I picked up on in a flashback, so I didn't have to go dig up that panel somewhere. I didn't think it was this. But I'm so pleased at it. And I really, really hope that we're gonna have a good long focus on this, because this is great. Sanji's looking really good, and this is a trope that is my guilty pleasure, and I'd love to see it play out. I'd love to see what Oda does with this. So it looks like, as far as I can tell, I'm kind of getting out of order now and I apologize, but it looks like, as far as I can tell, what we're set up to do is we're definitely going to Wano. Yeah, Wano. We're definitely going to Wano. We're definitely spending some time with the samurais. Zoro's getting trained by them. We're definitely going to free them from Kaido's reign, from him trying to, shut the gates, and they killed Momo's daddy and all those things. I'm way out of order. I'll get back to it. I'll get back in order in a second. I know we're going to Wano, but I also know that we're going to Big Mom to free Sanji first. So it looks like the obvious route we would take would be from Zou to Wano, because that seems to be the goal we're headed towards. But obviously we're doing a detour, because that's what Oda does with his arcs. We're doing a detour to pick up Sanji first, and then we're going to Wano, which means that our crew is split up again. But honestly, I'm not mad about it, because I want to see what's going on with Sanji. I want to go visit Alice in Wonderland, which is what it looks like Big Mom's section of the world is. It looks like a really interesting setting. I think it's gonna be lovely. Let me get back on track. Anyway, I'm too far into the arc at this point to bring up the dog and the cat and their whole dynamics. I should have brought them up a long time ago. I realize that, but here we are. I'm talking about them now. I love them. I really, really love the Minks in general. I love them for a lot of reasons. I think that their characters are extremely well fleshed out, and they have really funny and fun personalities. I'm instantly attached to their section of the world, their island, their lore, their struggle. So I'm very attached to them. I love their connection with the world as a whole, their connection with the Wano samurais, which I guess I'm out of order again. But also, I'm really not a fan of the talking animal trope at all. Never have been, probably never will be. And so there's so many animal creatures, there's so many people in this world that it's kind of hard for me to care about too much, because it's just like, you're talking polar bear. You're cute and you're lovely and you have a really sweet personality, but you're still a talking polar bear. And I don't know, my brain doesn't process you just right. But now they're built into the lore of the world. They have a history, they have a meaning. They're not just a talking animal because magic, so we have to deal with it. It fleshes this out so much more, and now every single one of these that I see about in the world, I know that your origins are probably here and that there's history here. And now I'm attached to your people and to your island. And why is there a hair attached to my lip? I'm so much more invested in this now because it's not just talking animals because magic, talking animals because this is an absurd world, but it makes sense to me now, and now my head can wrap around it, and it adds so much to the world for me. Anyway, I also just really love Zoro's reaction to Sanji being missing, him playing it cool, it's no big deal, don't worry about it, we don't need to go get him, he'll handle himself. I know he cares about Sanji. We'll talk about it in a little bit, actually. Probably in a while, actually. Well, this is a concise arc, and I'm going to spend about as much time talking about it as Oda spent writing it. Anyway, I haven't even properly talked about cat and dog yet. So, I love them! I love their dynamic within the island. I love their feud and their kind of Zoro and Sanji-esque love for each other, yet constantly bickering, how they've split up the time of day. So they always have to be basically in hibernation for 12 hours of the day so that the other one can rule, because that's how they've settled their bickering and their feud to stay away from each other. I love that concept. I just think it's fun. But then their personalities are wonderful as well. I think my favorite part of I should learn their names instead of just calling them Dog and Cat. Dogstorm and Cat Viper. Thank you, patrons. Okay, so Dogstorm, I really like him. Just in general, he has a great personality. I mostly love his chemistry with Luffy, which I'll talk about in a little while. But he's great, and I enjoy every scene we get with him. But Cat Viper really steals the show because he looks so fierce and intense and intimidating, but actually he's just a sweet, lovable cat. I love the humor around him, with him, you know, wanting to play with everything, not listening about his injuries in the slightest. You think he's this big, intense foe that looks so powerful, who is really powerful, but really, he's just a cat. It's wonderful. They add so much to this island, to the depth of this island, and so much to, I guess, the impact of who these people are. But then they also just add so much humor. Just these two characters add so much humor, and I really, really love them. I forgot to mention in the flashback, another really significant thing that happened is that Lion Turtle wanted to protect Sanji, wanted to work with Sanji, and he got shot in the back by his own crew member. So he is also a great character in this arc. We've seen him before, and I've really not had any kind of opinion on him, but oh, I love him in this arc. I love his beady little eyes. I love his very serious demeanor and how difficult it is for him to be fully himself around the chaos that is Luffy. I love his chemistry with Luffy, or lack thereof. I'm very pleased that he's coming with us to rescue Sanji, because I think that he'll be an asset, but also I just really love his dynamic with Luffy, and I've enjoyed his presence on this arc a lot. I also really love that when Luffy finally does hear that Sanji has been kidnapped to be a part of this arranged marriage, Luffy's first reaction is, Sanji can handle himself. I guess I should make room on the ship for his wife, because obviously she's joining our crew. And he went from that to hearing about the fact that, no, Sanji's not a part of your crew anymore. If he gets into this arranged marriage, then it's not, he's gonna be a part of Big Mom's household. Your ties with him are severed. And Luffy went from, I'll make room for his wife on the ship, to don't even pretend, don't even speak those words to me. His level of intensity at the idea of losing Sanji is wonderful. I also love Law in this arc. He's not a big presence, but he's wonderful. I really love his dynamics with Luffy as well. Him joining back up with his crew and then showing up just to introduce his crew to Luffy because they have an alliance and they're friends, even though he doesn't like, he wants to pretend that they're not friends. And then whenever Luffy makes an alliance with everybody else and Law is borderline jealous of this, he's like, what about my alliance with you? And Luffy's like, it doesn't make a difference, right? You don't mind. And Law's like, well, no, but still, it's like, it's just really cute. It's he clearly cares about Luffy. You know, he clearly Luffy matters to him, but at the same time, he's so constantly irritated with him and, you know, wanting Luffy to consult with him before he makes decisions, like making further alliances because they're partners here. They're partners in crime. He may not be a part of Luffy's crew, according to law, but, you know, they're supposed to have an equal level playing field here, and Luffy still just acts on his own accord and expects everybody to follow along, and Law is not having it. The gag that is the samurais. So I guess I kind of skipped over the way that they got onto Zou, which is the one samurai's artistic abilities creating the dragon to labor and labor and labor to get them up there, only for a monkey to come out of nowhere and knock the samurais off, and then they have to try to labor up again on a new creation. And it's just, it's funny because I'm over here in my theory corner thinking, okay, Monkey is someone significant. Is he the ninja? Is Monkey the ninja? Is Monkey going to be the next big player in the series? Like I'm thinking of all the different ways that Monkey matters. But no, Monkey's just a monkey that knocked them off so that they could just be out of the story for a while, so that they could come in at a time that would be more satisfying for us. Like he's literally a plot device. But I'm not mad about it, because when they did make it back onto Zou, I love the humor, you know? Like, the adults of the crew are going to keep watch, and they're going to stay up all night just to make sure that we keep the samurais away, because we don't want to ruin our relationship with the Minks. And then the samurais, our adults of the crew, fall asleep promptly. Samurais come up in the loudest, most obnoxious way possible, and it's wonderful. And then that causes what is, in my opinion, the greatest reveal of this arc, and one of the most, I don't even know the word for it, one of the best reveals I've had in a while. All this suffering, all this pain, all this torture, their willingness to be tortured and to die because Raizo isn't here. He isn't here. But once they see the samurais, they bow to them and say, he is alive and well. And this twist was so unexpected. It really knocked me off my feet. I mean, of all the twists in One Piece, and there are so many, and so many of them are exciting and thrilling or devastating and so many things, but nothing has invoked feelings in me quite like this one has. Not that this invoked more feelings, it was just a really unique feeling to me, because these people, this people group that I have grown to love very much, have suddenly shifted from victims to heroes in just a second, and completely recontextualized, completely changed the way I saw that flashback, where, you know, I feel so bad for them that they went through all that suffering at the hands of someone so evil for no reason. But in reality, they went through all that suffering knowing full well that they were not only protecting Raizo, but that they had tied him up and put him away so that he couldn't even know that they were suffering so greatly for him, that he wouldn't have wanted that. And it was killing him to see them continue to bring him food and care for him, seeing that their wounds are increasingly getting worse, seeing that they are suffering for him, but he doesn't understand because they won't tell him the lengths that they're going to protect him. That really hit me. Like, I don't really have the words to explain this. It just hit me on a note that I haven't quite been hit there before in the series. You know, things like Enies Lobby and Fishman Island and, the Knot Island, Sabidi Archipelago. There are times where I have been just weeping in response to the emotions that Oda has brought me, but I don't know. This isn't the most impactful moment, but it's just a very uniquely impactful moment that just, it got me. We also got the great reveal of Momo being the Emperor's son. Actually, we got so many reveals about the samurais and Wanos, and I'm sure a lot of it went over my head, but so much of it is is, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. There's so much in this arc that's contained to just Zou and the Minks, but then there's so much that's like as wide as you could go. This is huge. He is the Emperor's son, the Samurai Emperor's son. He's royalty. He grew up as a brat, and that's why he's a bit of a brat. And, you know, his dad was killed by Kaido. His dad was killed by Kaido. Kaido is taking over Wano, and it's their goal. It was his dad's last wish to be able to, you know, open the gates, but that's not happening because of Kaido. And the members of Wano, the samurais, were the ones that actually created these glyphs, but they can't read them. They don't know what's on them. I believe the Emperor's family are the only ones that can read them. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I may have misunderstood that. And that information, the ability to read the glyphs, has been passed on generation to generation, but it stopped at Momo because he never got the chance. Sorry, I've been recording too long and my camera said, enough please. It's been passed down, the ability to read these glyphs has been passed down generation to generation, but it stopped at Momo because Daddy Momo died. But Robin is here! I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. Every time we get a little bit more information on this 100-year gap, I'm so happy for my girl Robin. I love her so much. So anyway, she can read them. And we get this huge, massive, giant, intense reveal that these red poneglyphs, this red poneglyph, this red thing is one of 4. And what it is they provide a location for it, and you have to map out all of these locations and the center where they all in the middle. I'll put up a panel that explains it better than I'm doing right now. That's where the island is that probably certainly contains the One Piece. It's so big, it's so much, it's so massive for this series that we're finally here. We're finally here. We have the first clue to get us to our final destination. And not only that, but what has recently become one of my favorite crew dynamics, Robin and Luffy. We now have their 2 dreams so extremely linked together that these 2 that I feel just truly understand each other, and they have such a great dynamic between the 2, their dreams, in order to pursue one, you must pursue both. And I love that. This is so big. This is so big for the world. This is so big for where it has my mind turning of where we're going from here and the many things that we're going to pursue from here. And it's so big for the end goal of this, like the end. It's like I just turned a corner and suddenly the end is on the horizon, which is both thrilling and exciting and really sad. Also, 2 of the 3 of these red glyphs that we know are left, we only know where 2 of them are, and they're both being held by Emperors of the Sea, which is just beautiful, and I love that. Obviously, Luffy's gonna end up taking down 3 of the 4 Emperors of the Sea. I don't know what we're gonna do with Shanks. The dynamic between Luffy and Shanks is a little bit terrifying to me because of the pattern that we're going in with how we're handling these Emperors, and I don't know. I'm very curious about how that's gonna go. Oh, also, I just want to mention really quick, I think that it's significant that when we're learning, it's Raftel, I think, is the island, when we're learning about the red glyphs and Raftel and the One Piece, when we're learning about all these things that are significant to Luffy, this is the first time that I've noticed that we actually see Luffy focused and listening to exposition. You know, Luffy has kind of been the comedic relief whenever Oda is going to give us a large exposition dumps, usually Luffy falling asleep or getting distracted or not paying attention, and probably also Usopp. That has always been the comedic relief to kind of break up the exposition in case the reader also would get bored in this exposition. But this time, Luffy being wholly focused and not interrupting, but there and listening, I think just like really adds to to the magnitude of this moment, of how important this information is to Luffy and to the readers. And oh, it's just really good. Oh, I forgot to mention the reason, I'm pretty sure the reason Daddy Momo died was because he rode with Roger. He was part of Roger's crew. This is a big moment. Oh yeah, I was just grabbing some screenshots to talk about later, and then I just stumbled on this one. I forgot about this. Doggo was also part of the Pirate King's crew. Oh my goodness, they're so connected. The Minks are so connected in the lore of this world. Oh yeah, and he drops this bomb that the log pose only leads you to the glyphs so that you can figure out where Raftel is on your own, unless I misunderstood everything. But that's huge! That is amazing! Why? We learned that Kaido and his crew, I believe it's them, are hunting down a bunch of the Whitebeard pirate crew members and killing them. Oh. But that does mean that we're gonna see Marco again. Phoenix. We're gonna see the Phoenix guy again, which I'm so excited about. And then we have this another just incredible moment in this arc where Tom, I'm pretty sure is his name, is trying to attack the elephant, which, oh my goodness, this elephant is this ancient creature that's thousands of years old, I think, and a century old. This ancient creature that's a century old that did something wrong at some point and therefore has been condemned to just keep walking for the rest of his life. I desperately need more information on this. What did he do? Why is this his curse? Did the island grow on his back because he was walking, or was it already there? Does the island have something to do with the thing that he did that was wrong? Why did he need Momo's permission to be able to stop walking for just a minute? What is Momo's connection to all this? What is Momo? Who are you, sir? You're more than just the Emperor's son. There's something very specific happening with you. But anyway, the elephant was crying out in pain because he was being attacked and begging just this once, just for a moment, to stop walking so that he can defend himself. And Luffy can hear it, and Momo can hear it, and no one else can. And this is not the first time that some sort of giant beast, giant creature, its voice can be heard by only Luffy and only, a couple others like Ray or Roger. Rayleigh or Roger. And now Momo. Why? I don't know. But Luffy tries to respond and the elephant can't understand him. Luffy makes Momo respond, and Momo's permission allows the elephant freedom to stop walking for a moment and defend itself. And I don't know why. This guy who was able to take out an entire people group, this man who has, a billion-berry bounty? Billion-berry bounty. This guy who is clearly big and bad was taken out with just a backhand, with just a swipe of an elephant's trunk. And that shows how incredibly powerful this elephant is. And if he's so powerful that he can walk for a century, that he can house an entire civilization on his back, that he clearly cares for him by watering the island, that can sustain this damage while it's being attacked, that can take out this guy that's clearly extremely powerful with just a swipe of his trunk. What did you do, and what power is able to control you? I need more. I desperately need more. My theory about Momo is a terrible one, but all I've got is that the voice can only be heard by people with Conqueror's Haki. I obviously have no idea if Momo has Conqueror's Haki, but, maybe it's just not been awakened in him fully, or he hasn't realized what powers he has, or something, kind of like Luffy. It took him a long time to realize that it was Conqueror's Haki. I don't know. I mean, we've been with him for enough time now. No, we haven't, actually. Dressrosa took place in a day or maybe 2 days. I don't know. But Dressrosa took place, as far as the story goes, it was a really quick arc for our characters. And then they only traveled for a couple of days to get to Zou. So really, we haven't had Momo as a part of our crew for very long at all. So it's totally possible that he has Conqueror's Haki and we just haven't come across it yet. But then I have no idea why I have no idea why the elephant can only needs his permission to break the curse. Was the curse put on him by the samurais? I don't know. Is it because of his bloodline, maybe? Does it have to do with his bloodline? Like maybe Momo's granddad is the one that put the elephant under this control, under this punishment? I mean, the samurai do know about the 100-year gap in history. So they're aware, and the elephant has been walking for a century. So, and it has a connection with Momo. And I still have this theory that Momo and all the other samurais are potentially hundreds of years old themselves because of the way they talk and because of their not being accustomed to the ways of the world. So I like to think that they've just been around for forever long, and when they left Wano, the world has kind of like evolved and moved on, but they haven't. So maybe Momo and Daddy Momo, who's now dead, and that whole family line were the ones that put this on Elephant. That Elephant had to keep walking, and that's why Elephant specifically needed Momo's permission, because it is his bloodline that Elephant is obeying. I don't know. Who am I to guess at what Oda's doing? But Roger did also hear the elephant's voice and couldn't speak to Elephant. And the samurais that are with Momo couldn't hear the voice. So it's in... But then why does Luffy hear it? Because of the Conqueror's Haki. So Conqueror's Haki helps you to be able to hear Elephant and the sea beast and all of the things. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. And Momo's bloodline is what is controlling Elephant to keep walking. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Anyway, we then just get a great montage of them prepping to go about their separate tasks, to split up again. Some of them are going to Wano, some of them are going to rescue Sanji, so they're going to be split up again. Zoro is totally gonna train with the samurais. And then we also get a nice little montage of all the rulers of the world of like the 50 kingdoms or something, all preparing to go to the next reverie, which I don't fully understand what that is yet. I think it's just like all the leaders of the kingdoms of the world coming together to duke it out over political issues. That's the best I've got at the moment. But Vivi is coming back into the story, and also our pink-haired crybaby princess, and we saw Chopper's healer lady. Just so many people. We just saw so many people. And I'm so excited. I don't know what capacity they're gonna play. I don't know what role they're gonna have in the story, but I really hope that we get some good inside information, some good looks into what's going on with them, because I'm just so happy to have Vivi back in the story. Also, Carrot acts as a stowaway and joins them on their mission, and I'm pleased at that too, because Carrot is quite the character, and I'm excited to hang out with her more. Oh my goodness, so many things. The bad things for the Revolutionary Army, things aren't looking good for them. Kaido is mad, so bad things for us. Jack, not Tom. Ah, shucks. Jack is Fishman, so he's alive still, which is good because I didn't get enough of this guy, and he seems pretty intense, and if we're gonna hang out with Kaido, then I feel like we should hang out with Jack. And we reestablished that we desperately need Sanji, because when Luffy is left to be the cook, which I feel like was just a really dumb choice for the entire crew to allow that to happen, it doesn't go over so well. But we finally got to see a picture of Big Mom's daughter, which I was waiting for because I figured she'd be cute, and I figured Sanji would, that would add a little bit of tension for him of, well, maybe this isn't gonna be so bad. Maybe I'm all right with this. So I'm just super, super excited to see all that play out. This was an arc that was full of so many things. I'm sure I left half of them out, but I tried. This is a very condensed chapter count. Oh my goodness, I still have character moments to discuss. This video is so long. Okay, let's do it. Robin, quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. I think if I were to rank them at this point, top 3 would be Luffy, of course, then Zoro, then Robin. I love Robin so much. So a lot of great moments. When, I think it was Monkey, when Monkey showed up and Robin's reaction is, I don't know, at first I thought it was a blood-drenched person stuck full of knives, but then it looked like a baby monkey. You all right, Robin? We're talking about the Minks here. Robin's first reaction is, perhaps they eat people. We're looking for parts of our crew. Robin says, well, if their bodies are still intact, that rules out being eaten. But then we also have amazing moments for Robin, like this one, where we see how far she's come when Cat Viper mentions how dangerous their situation is, and Robin's response, and they're after Robin, I think, and Robin's response is, I don't mind, after all. I've got very powerful friends who will protect me. When Luffy can't remember who Phoenix Marco is, so Robin says, the one like a pineapple. And then Luffy knows who it is. I'm telling you, the dynamic between these two has quickly become one of my favorite. She gets him. They get each other on such a wholesome level. When Robin basically, as Usopp puts it, asks Luffy to be her errand boy and requests that he gets a rubbing of any glyph that he finds, and Luffy just automatically, oh sure, like they have such a wholesome relationship. Usopp, when they land on the island and he's like hiding behind Zoro and trying to force his arm, and he's like, protect me, it's super cute. Usopp, when he tells Luffy to read the context of the situation, read the room, man. Speaking of reading the room, for awesome Luffy moments, we have everybody else realizing, oh no, okay, samurais are not something we should talk about here, and Luffy decides I should shout about them. I love that the Dogstorm. I love that Dogstorm, as far as I've been able to tell, is the first character to fall asleep on Luffy when Luffy is giving exposition. Usually when somebody tries to tell their story, Luffy falls asleep because he's like, I just don't care. And this is the first time that someone has done it to Luffy. Now, there was a reason. It was because of the clock and the time and all these things, but it was still the first time that somebody fell asleep on Luffy, and I love it. But then also, Luffy, when he falls asleep, Luffy's first reaction is not to be insulted. It's not to try to wake him up. It's not to try to get answers. It's to inspect his teeth. And then, I know I talk about Luffy's emotional intelligence too often here, but let's talk about it again. Because this scene where they, when Doggo is asking them to join in their fight against Kaido, which would make sense that Luffy would participate in because he's also trying to take him down per his alliance with Law. But instead he says no, and he fixates on Momo, forcing him to speak up for himself, forcing him to make the decision. And then whenever he does, getting down on his knees and reaching his hand out to him and saying, all right, let's do this. Oh, it's good. Zoro, I already mentioned a couple of his good moments. I really like his reaction to Sanji in general, playing it cool, we don't need to rescue him, whatever. But we also get this really great moment before all that where they realize that Sanji's been captured and Zoro's like, he can handle it. He can take care of himself. He has faith in his boy. I really liked, we had a couple of great moments of Frankie. I really like Frankie. He's not getting enough page time these days. Well, he's not getting enough page time in Zou. But Brooke comes around to tell everybody to gather around, and Frankie is just like hyping his guy. He's just like, hey, Brooke, you look great. Frankie being the one to speak for me when everything was very confusing and nobody was giving any solid answers, and Frankie's just like, can we regroup for a minute? None of this makes any sense. Brooke standing up for himself when he keeps getting talked over or keeps getting brushed aside. And then several really, really great moments for the entire crew. This arc is beautiful, big, emotional, heartwarming, calming, peaceful, such a great change of pace, and also full of amazing character moments. It was a really satisfying arc to read. I really enjoyed it. I really needed a breather after Dressrosa before we get into more chaos and more excitement and more action. And I think that it was the perfect breather. It was the perfect breather and change of pace, and it felt so refreshing to be doing something completely different. But at the same time, it was such a lore dump and got me so excited for the direction that this series is going from here on out. I know that we're going to do so much with Wano. I know that we're going to do so much with these samurais. I know that they're going to be a major factor in this story. I'm so excited for what we could potentially be doing with Sanji's plotline going forward. I'm so excited to go to Alice in Wonderland Island and face off against Big Mom, and I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for what's coming. I'm so excited for how big the world feels right now. Sorry. I shouldn't say sorry. You guys like long videos, but also this is a short arc and a long video. So anyway, be sure to chat with me more about this in the comments. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's anything else that I need to have clarified for me. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye.